Okay, hey guys, my name is Natalie. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I've been a criminal defense attorney since 2010, so for 10 years. And welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I have a special treat for you guys today. I have a guest, and his name is Montez Mason. And let me just let him say hello and everything, and then I'm going to introduce him to you guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Montez. I'm an attorney. I work in the District of Columbia as a prosecutor. I've been a prosecutor in DC and Maryland for the last 6 years. Prior to becoming a prosecutor, I was a public defender for 2 years, and that's where I know Natalie from. We worked in the same office as public defenders, and we have all kind of amazing stories to tell about our time at the public defender's office.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just to be clear, guys, so Montez and I used to work together, but we do not work in the same jurisdiction anymore. So it's not like this is a prosecutor who will be prosecuting any of my cases, but he is my friend. You see how that might be like a bit of a conflict, right? But he is my friend, and he has a very unique experience of having been a defense attorney and then being a prosecutor. Were you a prosecutor in Maryland? You were, right? You were a prosecutor on the shore?
I was. I was a prosecutor in Maryland. Yep.
Okay. Where are you from originally, Montez?
I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up in Cincinnati. I went to undergrad at Eastern Kentucky University. You probably never heard of it. Google it. Then I went to, if you care, then I went to the University of Toledo College of Law, and I graduated from Toledo in 2009. I moved to the DC area, took the Maryland bar, and that's how I got to the area.
And you were a football player, right? Weren't you in college?
Oh, yeah. That seems like so long ago. I played football at EKU. I played defensive back. So those were the days. Those days are long gone. But yeah, I was a football player there.
Yeah. And I think I learned the most about football from Montez, as we were talking about before I started recording. I don't care anything about sports, don't like sports. Thankfully, I'm married to a man that doesn't care about sports either. But anytime I see Montez doing anything, it's like sports related. He's like watching sports or playing sports, or he's very sports. It's very interesting. He's a jock.
I'm a jock. Yes, I'm a jock.
Yeah. Yes. I mean that in the best way possible. Yeah, so tell me what, if anything, you know about the sovereign citizen movement.
Okay, so
it's okay if it's nothing. It's not a quiz. I really just want to know like what you know.
No, I do know them. I've encountered them. I've represented them.
Lucky you. They'll never take my representation.
So basically, in a nutshell, I always joke and I say short story long. But basically, in a nutshell, what I do know about the sovereign citizens are that they don't believe that the U.S. government laws apply to them. They believe that, well, you have different branches of sovereign citizens. You have some who just don't believe the laws apply to them. Then you have some who believe that that their ancestors were here prior to the founding of the United States, and their ancestors have a treaty with the United States government that exempts them from U.S. federal laws and state laws, but they've never produced a treaty. They never produced the actual treaty, so I don't know what treaty this is.
No, they don't.
Only folks that I know that have a treaty with the U.S. government that exempts them from state laws are Native Americans.
Yeah, so it's the Moorish Americans that usually push that, treaty with Morocco thing. And it's very interesting because in a way they kind of disavow arriving or their ancestors arriving in the United States by way of the transatlantic slave trade. But on the same end, they want like a North African country's treaty to apply, which I don't even know if that treaty even really exists. I don't think it does, but
Well, I do know Morocco was the first country to recognize the United States. So I believe there is some level of treaties that there may be, but this doesn't apply to these folks because they weren't acting on behalf of the Moroccan. I don't know. It's a whole long convoluted story. But then you also have some sovereign citizens who whose beliefs are rooted in racism. And so they say the 14th Amendment only applied to, people of African descent, and that, we are white and we are free. And so this doesn't apply to us. This made them citizens of the corporation that we know as the United States. And then they go into this whole UCC argument. So I've seen it all play out in court. They flood the courts with tons of paperwork with this pseudo legalese that makes no sense to lawyers, judges, courtroom clerks, nobody.
And that's the thing about them ultimately, is that the things that they're saying make no sense to the people that are supposed to be in the know about the law.
Right.
You are so much better versed at this than I was when I started reacting to these videos, because I swear to God, whenever they would come through, my county or the shore or whatever, they never wanted me to represent them. Like, never. They never wanted me to represent them. They always refused the services of the public defender, and of course, when I was private, they weren't hiring private counsel. So I am so excited to watch this one with you. So these videos, it's 2 of them, are the P. Barnes videos, and P. Barnes is actually not the sovereign citizen. He's a bailiff in the courtroom, right? And the sovereign citizen comes in, acts a fool, and then P. Barnes kind of like puts him in his place, and now he's like an internet celebrity. But I'm gonna show you 2 videos. One is the background, which is not as widespread as the second video I'm gonna show you, which is the actual action, and the issue here is filming in the courtroom. So it's not his case that's the issue. It's that he feels he has the right to film in the courtroom. And so he has...
Folks, you have to get permission from the judge to be able to film in the courtroom. You just can't walk into any courtroom and just start filming. The media, they may film in the courtroom, but they go through, they go through all kind of processes they follow a motion to ask the judge to allow them to be able to film in the courtroom. That's why you always see sketches from inside of the courtroom, because you're not allowed to film in the courtroom.
Right. There's just a few jurisdictions, Nevada is one, Florida is another one, that even allows ongoing surveillance recording inside the courtroom. Like Maryland, for example, they don't have that. And inside the courtroom, not even the media is allowed to film. They can come in and take notes, but they can't film.
Take notes.
Yeah.
Draw sketches.
Sketches, take notes, make impressions of what they saw, but they cannot, not even the media. So no, you can't come film in our courtroom. So
when you watch Nancy Grace and she puts those sketches up of what's going on inside the OJ trial, if she was back then, I'm not sure, but whatever trial of the century or the decade of the year or whatever, you'll see the sketches that'll go up on court TV, and that's because you're not allowed to film in court.
Right. Well, like I said, there's some that allow you to film, but
there's some that allow you to film.
Yeah.
It's more of the exception than the rule.
Absolutely. It's so rare that when I see filming going on inside of court, I'm like, oh, this is either Michigan, Florida, or Nevada, right? Like when I watch these videos, it's so rarely any other state. Okay, great. So the name of this video is called "The Rarely Posted Prior to P. Barnes Tasing Robert Peterson." So the lead is right there. You know what it's all about, but it's fun. So let's give it a watch.
Where your warrant is?
It's clearly posted on the entrance film.
What? Clearly posted that I have to forfeit my right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure? Yeah, every person is. I'm not a person. I'm a man. I'm not subject to your jurisdiction, and the court has already confirmed that. I'm here for one purpose. All right.
You can submit or you can leave.
Well.
So I'm just going to pause it right there. Right here we see with Mr. Peterson, he's trying to enter into a courtroom, and he is refusing to initially to submit to a search in order to enter into the courtroom. So he's alleging that he's not a person. He's a person. Yeah, he's not a person, right? Okay.
So, yeah.
He's a free man.
Either you're going to use the English language or you're not. Like, you got to make a decision. Are you going to use the English language or no? Make a decision.
That's all it's about. Like, you can get with the program or not. Right. And the thing is that, like, they try to assert their constitutional rights, yet they do not ascribe to the language that's used in the Constitution, right? Like, the language used in the Constitution would define you as a person, you know? So What are you talking about?
I mean, in a sense, it's a contradiction because are you submitting to the law of the United States government, or are you not submitting to the law of the United States? So you can't have it both ways. You got to make a decision.
What does the Constitution matter if you don't submit to the laws of the United States government?
Exactly.
Doesn't matter,
Exactly.
You don't have any rights under the Constitution because it's all a fiction to you.
It's all a fiction.
I'll allow you to search, but I mean,
That has to go through the X-ray machine if you want to come in this building.
what does?
That folder.
That's fine. I mean,
That's what we're
I'll
trying to
do
get
that,
you to do.
but you will be charged a bill. You will be served a bill.
Send me a bill.
All right. Can I have your name for the record, please?
And when you come through here, you will be patted down.
Will you state your name for the record, please?
Barnes.
Pete Barnes, thank you. And you accept full commercial liability?
No, I accept nothing.
All right. Well,
If you want
I
to
mean,
come in, you know the ground rules. That's it. Otherwise, you're staying right there.
well, you guys can search it, but you're going to be billed for it.
And you will be searched.
That's fine. I don't have any weapons. I'm here to.
But you see how like he was like, "You're not searching me. I'm not going through that thing. You're not gonna." And then he's like, "Okay, it's fine. You can search me, but you will accept my bill, right? Okay, sure. And you accept liability? No. Okay, well, I'll still come in."
Well, my whole thing is why even if the court has no jurisdiction over you, why even enter into that building?
That's what I'm saying.
And then what is this commercial liability stuff he's talking about? What is that?
They send bills to the court. They file lawsuits against the court, all types of stuff.
What is
for their time? They charge the court for their time.
Is the bailiff patting him down going to damage him? Is he a good? Like what's happening right now?
Well, he thinks he's a corporation, doesn't he?
And so he's charging the court for his time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess he can send a bill to the court.
To exercise my rights and make sure that the court does not try to impose anything that I don't consent to.
Your camera has to go through the machine.
I don't think that's going to work.
Because everything has to go through the machine.
All right. Well, if it.
Put it in the bucket. Put it in the bucket.
You can put it in the briefcase.
Well,
Put it in the bucket. That's good. That's good.
I always wanted to know what it looked like in here. Very disappointed.
cameras in court. Excuse me?
Oh man.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, you have to put that away.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Under what authority?
You have to have a court order from a judge before you can have a camera in the courtroom.
Okay, well, I'm going to capture
No, you can't.
this on video.
You got to turn it off.
It's for both of our protection.
Well, you have to turn it off.
No, thank you.
Then you have to leave the courtroom.
No, thank you.
You're being very patient with him.
They are. I can imagine certain scenarios where they wouldn't be so patient.
He's calling for backup. It's not.
Yeah.
Get better.
I mean, if you're not afraid of doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't be afraid of being videotaped, right?
No, just saying you can't have. You have to submit.
Yeah, but that's an administrative order. I'm not subject to that. That's for persons. I'm not a person, and you have no authority to.
Are you here for
tell me
AMs or
for what?
What time's your court?
8 o'clock.
That's a friend. Shut the camera off now.
No, thank you. I do not consent to you touching me or seizing my property. You need to
Shut
back
the
up.
camera off now.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
holding you accountable because you're about to overstep your bounds. That's what you're about to do. And I'm giving you, no, thank you.
Step
I will say
outside
right
now.
here, if you have anything to say to me, say it for the
Step
public record.
outside now.
No, thank you.
We're not going to disturb the court. Step outside.
I'm not disturbing the court. You are.
He's a wild boy.
102. He's refusing to leave the courtroom. Good night.
I'm not like everybody else here. I'm not a person. I'm a man,
He's
so I have
special.
rights that you cannot violate without, legal repercussions, lawful repercussions. This has to be treated
102. He's
as if I have
to leave
rights.
the courtroom and refusing to shut the camera off at this time.
You want me to show you the piece of paper where the
What word does he use to describe individuals?
Say that again?
What word does he use to describe individuals?
I don't know. If it's not, but I feel like he's saying that everyone else, they're all persons and people, but not me. And I
Right.
don't know, yeah, he's a man, but the rest of us, I think the rest of us are people.
We're owned by this corporation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You ready to keep going?
Yeah.
On video.
And then just adults.
Have they cleared out the entire courtroom?
That's what it looks like.
I'm going with everybody else, so I've got witnesses. Where are we going now?
What a weirdo.
Howdy. 40 they do not have.
Yeah, by the way.
Why even go down to the courthouse if you don't feel like they have any jurisdiction or control over you to begin with? Why even enter the summons?
So that, yeah, he could just ignore the summons, right? But he knows.
I mean, that's not a good idea, but he could have.
But he knows that the popo's going to show up at his house. So he knows that they
Yes.
do have authority over him, right?
The government has the guns in the jail. And
Right.
at the end of the day, the government has the guns in the jail, and they will exercise their authority over you if you don't respond to the summons.
That's jurisdiction.
At some point, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 10 years down the road, at some point, they're going to find you and they're going to exercise their authority.
That's right. They're not going to just let it go. So he showed up, but he was like, while
No.
I'm here, I'm going to act a fool. I'm going to act stupid. There's nothing you can do about it.
And for your viewers, so they understand when folks are in court, well, when I say folks, the court personnel, the officers of the court, the lawyers, defense attorney, the prosecutors, the judges, everybody just gives a collective eye roll when this happens. It's a collective eye roll. It's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know, when we go to work, it's still work for us. You know, we take we know we're dealing with people, so that's not lost on us, but it's still a job in many aspects, and it's still rigorous in many aspects, and you're trying to get through the day, you know, as best as you can, and then you have someone come into the courthouse and just causes this disturbance, and it's just collective eye roll when it happens, and you're like, oh, here we go. You have all these people down here, he's wasting their time.
That's right.
Stop. It's people that are responding to summons. They want to get in and out. The defense attorneys, the prosecutors, the judges want to be respectful of their time as well and get them out of here as fast as they can. This looks like it's not even that serious. Like they're all down there for minor offenses, and the guy is holding up the courthouse.
With sovereign citizens, it's rarely something serious. I mean, sometimes it is, right?
Right.
But it's mostly traffic citations, trespasses, really stupid stuff that would have probably been quickly resolved had the person just, you know, acted normally, you know?
Right.
There was one that I reacted to where the guy had, I think it was like a disorderly conduct charge that was just a fine only, and he was a sovereign citizen and refused to pay the fine. And so the judge was like, I'll give you more time to pay it or else I'm going to hold you in contempt. And he threatened the life of the judge and ended up with 10 years in prison. Yeah. He turned a fine into 10 years in prison. And that's what sovereign citizens do.
That's not okay. That's crazy.
Turn them into prison time. Yeah, it's crazy. It's completely nuts.
That's crazy.
It's completely nuts.
You will tase him if he doesn't report.
Yeah, because I'm posing a threat. Tase me, they're going to get sued.
They're going to get sued, but you don't.
They're going to get sued. What are you talking about?
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So now you're going to use the court's jurisdiction to your advantage, but now when the court's jurisdiction is to your disadvantage, it doesn't apply.
Exactly.
That's not how it works. You're not above the law. Nobody is.
But isn't that kind of what it is ultimately? Are people trying to find ways to be above the law, right? You're trying to find ways. Yeah.
They're trying to find a creative way to get around the law. Exactly. They get in trouble, how minor it may be, and they try to find a creative way to get around the law, instead of just hiring a lawyer and making sound legal arguments.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's ultimately what it boils down to. Or instead of getting a driver's license, you print out a piece of paper talking about your sovereign citizen or Moorish American rights, and you present that to the police officer instead of a driver's license, and now you're in jail. It's just ways to try to live your life, or you squat in someone's house because you don't want to take out a lease or a mortgage, of your own.
Right.
So it's trying to find ways to live outside the law.
I once saw a guy who came into court and he tried to do all of the sovereign citizen arguments, and he ended up going to trial and he lost, and the judge gave him the maximum penalty that he could give. Driving without a license charge. I think it was like 60 days, and it was in Maryland. And, here's the thing. What they have to realize is that judges are people too. And right or wrong, the judge has the authority to give you the maximum, whether or not the case really calls for that. But just coming into court and raising these illegitimate arguments could tick the judge off. And if you lose, you could get the maximum sentence. So
exactly.
The courthouse is not a place for games. It's not a place for games.
I don't think I've heard anyone put it that succinctly, but that's exactly right. They're playing games, and
yes.
The courthouse is not a place for games. Interacting with cops, not a place for games, but they're playing all day. They are crazy.
This is serious business.
Yes. They can take your liberty away. They can take your money away. They can take your life away. It's serious.
They're talking about their sovereign citizens, but you're no longer sovereign when those cuffs hit you and you're being carted off to the county jail.
Exactly. Straight like that.
Yeah.
Before.
What's your first and last name?
I don't have a last name.
You don't have a last name?
No.
What's your first name?
I don't have a first name either. I've got a name. My name is Robert. You can call me Robert.
I'm sorry, I just can't. What's your first name? I don't have a first name. I don't have a last name either. I got a name. It's Robert. If Robert is your only name, it's your first name.
It's your first and last name.
And it's your last name.
Yeah.
When someone asks you that question, you just answer that your name is Robert. But they love semantics. They love semantics.
This bailiff is lying.
The worst part about their semantics, though, is that they don't make sense. They're grammatically incorrect semantics.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
Oh, I'm not a person. See, you deal here with Admiralty Maritime Jurisdiction, which deals with persons, which I am not.
What are you? Are you human?
I'm a man.
You're human?
I'm a man, yes.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
No.
You're not a U.S. citizen?
I was not born in Washington, D.C. or any territory of the federal, under federal jurisdiction, so no, I'm not a U.S. citizen.
Were you born in the United States of America?
I was born in America. Yes, I'm a state citizen of one of the several states.
There's more than seven.
One of the several?
Which state?
Idaho.
Idaho. Can I see your Idaho state license?
No, I don't have one.
You don't have one?
My person does, but I don't. And I don't wish to create joinder with you.
All right. And if you want to just...
Can I get your name, please? E. Smith, thank you. Are you a bailiff or are you a prosecutor? No, you're probably a bailiff. You got the air thing in, huh?
And the worst part is you saw that lady going by trying to cover her face or whatever. In courtrooms that don't allow recording, which is most of them, courthouses, people other than the police, the bailiffs, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys, just the people that are attending court, either as witnesses or parties, they don't want their faces blasted all over the place,
No.
Yeah, like it's you can go down to the courthouse or look it up online in most places. So you can find out who's in court on what day. But that's an effort that you have to take, you know, whereas
Right.
blasting these people's face all over, maybe that was a woman going to get a protective order. She doesn't want anyone knowing that she's going to go get a protective order.
Or you know, sometimes witnesses are absolutely afraid to go down to the courthouse. You have real victims. You have real victims, and it takes a lot to get victims to the courthouse a lot of times. And you know, the last thing they want is their face plastered all over the internet. Sure.
Yeah. So it's
And
like,
then he was using. Go ahead.
no, I wanted you to talk about that. Go ahead. I was going to ask you about that. Go ahead.
Well, he's saying I'm not going to create joinder, and he's just throwing legalese around that doesn't apply here.
Not at all.
It's just not.
Because, you know, in the criminal context, joinder could mean the joinder of defendants, meaning two different defendants in two different cases, joining them together because the fact pattern is the same. Joinder of charges or claims or offenses, meaning that, you know, there's two different cases with the same defendant, but it's really all the same facts and circumstances. So they should be joined together because, you know, it shows motive or intent or something like that, right? In this context, no, okay? That word does not mean what you think it means, you know? And it's not applicable to this situation. By telling him your name, you're not creating any type of legal relationship with him, right?
But even when you just look at the root of the word, I'm not even sure what he's even talking about. How even, like, if you just look at just the common usage of the word join, I'm not even sure what he's talking about.
I think that what he's trying to say is that if I tell you my name, I will be submitting to us establishing some type of legal relationship with one another. And obviously that doesn't make any sense, right? And that's not what that word means, you know? It's just like when they say corpus delicti. They say that a lot, right? And it has no bearing whatsoever on like what's going on or what's happening. And, you know, it's just them, they found some type of legal term or Latin term, and they just misuse it over and over and over again, you know? Corpus delicti, habeas corpus. They don't know what they're talking about. All right, we'll start it back up again. You want to pay attention here.
I'm gonna go in and speak with the prosecutor. Excuse me. You're blocking my freedom of movement.
I am.
All right. Well, P. Barnes, you just admitted to me that you're violating my rights.
No, I'm not. You can't come in with the camera.
Well, you're violating my rights. And this is also freedom of the press.
From behind you.
This is also freedom of the press. I mean, I don't know what the hell law book you're reading, man, but it doesn't apply to me.
You leave the camera with your mother outside the courtroom and you can come in.
You are not God. You have no jurisdiction over me.
God's not worried about cameras, sir. I am.
All right. Well, why are you worried about cameras? Because you want to do something wrong? Because you want to do something wrong? Because if it's against the rules, that means it's because somebody intends on wronging somebody else because they're afraid of being held accountable. P. Barnes.
It's a nice speech, but you're still not coming in.
Well, I mean, I don't have to go in because you can't even issue a warrant for me.
Might as well leave.
Well, no, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to speak with the prosecutor.
You can go in there without the camera.
Well, please step aside. I'm going in.
No, you're not going in.
Don't touch me.
You're not going in, sir.
Let the record show that you just battered me.
Step back.
You're using.
Oh man. Oh man.
Please. I'm not doing anything wrong. Hey, you know what? You guys are really overstepping your bounds right now. Put the cuffs on. What are you arresting me for?
Why?
I just like to know.
That's the video. And that's the first time I've seen it with the extended clip where he basically caused the entire courtroom to be cleared out because they didn't want anyone filming in there and he would not freaking leave.
Mr. Peterson, why? Why would you do such a thing? Why? 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 They showed incredible restraint through that. What it was, 8 minutes?
Yeah. 8 minutes, 24 seconds.
And
Mr.
right when
Barnes saw him at the door when he started his foolishness with not wanting to submit to a search. Go ahead.
No, I'm speechless. I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say. I mean, it just wasn't smart. I just hope people aren't. What's so disheartening about this is that people who are ignorant are going to believe someone who is charismatic and has a lot of charm is going to be able to convince someone who's ignorant that this stuff actually works. And then they're going to go down to the courthouse and put their liberty at risk unnecessarily, or on the side of the road. They may put their life at risk.
Right.
This actually stresses me out a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yes.
It stresses me out.
Well, imagine me as a defense attorney, like, you know where my heart is. Like, I don't want to see anyone go to jail. I don't want to see anyone get tased, right?
I'm a prosecutor. I don't want to see anybody go to jail. When I ask for incarceration, it actually breaks my heart every time I do it. I don't do it. I'm very hesitant to do it. I'm very conscious of what it means to go to jail. I was a defense attorney. I went inside of jails and county jails and state prisons. I visited people who were in cages. And so I know what it means for someone to go, well, I've never been there myself, so I can't say exactly I know what it means, but I've seen people in cages, and no human being should be in a cage. So it's, and they're putting themselves at risk unnecessarily.
Yeah, and you're putting other people around you at risk, you know, when you create that type of chaos. You know, if P. Barnes was a different type of officer, maybe it would be a gun, you know, and there would be a stray bullet or something like that, you know? So thankfully that was not the case. And, you know, I don't know if we really see any more videos of this guy after that. So maybe he dropped the whole sovereign citizen thing. But yes, you're right. It's charismatic people, especially with Moorish Americans, who are leading the less informed just astray. It's just the blind leading the blind. It's so sad.
Exactly. I had a friend who called me about this stuff. He said he had a friend who, or I guess when he wouldn't describe him as a friend, but there was I guess like a neighborhood store that they frequented, and he would see the guy there from time to time and have conversations with the guy. And the guy was talking to him about this sovereign citizen stuff. And he was like, he called me and asked me like, hey, is this stuff real? And I'm like, absolutely not. Do not listen to anything that he's saying to you.
Yeah.
Not real. Not a real thing.
I'm glad that he called you. I really, really am. Because
yes, but there's some people who don't have that resource. They don't have access to a friend who's an attorney to tell them, especially a criminal law attorney, to tell them, no, do not do this.
Yeah. I mean, some people will just argue you down no matter what. You're a part of the system to them. So even, you know, like sometimes there's nothing you could do about it. Like people are conspiracy theorists. Like there's literally nothing you could do about it. You can't.
Yeah, everything is for some people, everything is a conspiracy. You know, most of the time it's not, you know, but.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about all the conspiracies that I hear, you know, especially with what we have going on in the world right now. But
yeah, we're not talking about that on this channel.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah. I don't want to attract in any of those crazy people. I've done some videos on the anti-maskers, and it's just like, no, thank you. The people that come to the comment section, I'm like, I'm scared of you. I'm really worried.
Right, exactly.
I'm really worried about you. I think someone should check on you. I need a welfare check.
Yes. But that seriously stresses me out, though.
What?
They got people going down to the court and, you know, just doing whatever. Just it stresses me out because I'm like, you're about to go to jail.
Yeah, it is really stressful.
Go ahead. I'd like to state some things for the record. Thank you, Judge. Judge John Hurley, I do accept your oath of office here today for the record, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Does this court take judicial notice of your oath, sir?
constitutional rights. We'll make sure no constitutional rights were violated, to make sure everything is on the up and up on the government's case. You deserve that. You are owed that as an American citizen. Even if you're not an American citizen, you're being convicted, prosecuted in an American court, you are owed that. Mm-hmm. Please go get an attorney to make sure that your rights are not being trampled.